Good morning. This is our last segment, okay? Once we finish this, now this is Thursday. College is closed as normal, and I will not send you this until Monday, because I probably won't finish it till Monday anyway, on this last segment. So once you do this, the course is over. Once you do this one on the muscle skeletal system quiz, then the course is over, okay? You send it in, and I'll get you some grades eventually, probably by the end of the following week. Anyway, I'm going to send you this. This is the questions. These are the questions I'm going to be asking you, but I will send you this one right here. Describe the initiation of conscious skeletal movement and include the neurotransmitter. Now, I'll start on this one, but I can't completely answer it until I do the next three objectives, okay? So I will start on this one right here, since it's number one. And we're going to tie a few things together right here. Describe the initiation of conscious skeletal movement. In other words, whenever we move a muscle, talk, move your head, scratch yourself, walk, whatever, you have the same sequence of events that occur. Okay, number one is going to begin with. I may put it up here as high as I can reach right here and start it, then stop it and go on and do something else and come back and add to it. Probably will do something like that, okay? So just hang in there with me, you're going to do fine, all right? Number one. Now, the last quiz I asked you about the regions of the brain, the regions of the cerebrum, the lobes of the cerebrum right here, and their function. Well, conscious skeletal muscle movement begins in the frontal lobe. So the actual potential is initiated in the frontal lobe. That's our first step right here. That's the frontal lobe of the cerebrum right here, where all conscious skeletal muscle originates. So the AP, the signal, originates in the frontal lobe. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to put down. AP originates, O-R-I-G-I-N-A-T-E-S, in frontal lobe. In the frontal lobe. Okay, now, once the action potential originates right there, it travels down a neuron to exit the cord. So there's going to be two neurons involved right here. An upper motor neuron, the one that's in the central nervous system, and a lower motor neuron, one that's in the peripheral nervous system, okay? So the AP travels down an upper motor neuron. That's the second step right here. The AP travels down an upper motor neuron. Since this is motor, since this is conscious movement right here, it is a motor neuron. AP travels down upper motor neuron. You can abbreviate upper motor neuron as UMN. Everybody else does right here. Now it's going to synapse with another neuron. The other neuron is going to leave the spinal cord and exit and go to the muscle that is involved, okay? So the AP, after it travels down the upper motor neuron, synapses with the lower motor neuron and exits the cord. That's our third step. Synapses with the lower motor neuron and exits the cord. Synapses with lower motor neuron and exits the cord. Now, from there it's going to go to a target. Whatever muscle that you want to move, whatever muscle that you want to, hell, if you want to move your ears, okay, you still got an upper motor neuron and a lower motor neuron involved. Or move a leg, move a toe, it doesn't really matter. So, after it exits the cord right here, it's going to synapse with the target. Synapse with the skeletal muscle right here, okay? Synapse with lower motor neuron, exits the cord right here. Now this lower motor neuron synapses with the skeletal muscle. Synapses, lower motor neuron, LMN, synapses with skeletal muscle. Now, I haven't finished that statement yet, because there's a neurotransmitter released at the synapse between a neuron and a muscle. The neuromuscular junction, the synapse that we've looked at. And you probably can remember the three letters of this neurotransmitter. If not, it's called ACH. So the synapse with the skeletal muscle releases acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter. All right, so I'm going to finish this statement right here. Lower motor neuron synapses with skeletal muscle and releases ACH. And releases ACH. Okay, now, That's as far as I can take this right here. We haven't really activated the muscle. All we're doing is release a neurotransmitter. And we'll take a look at what the neurotransmitter does in time. But let's leave number 1 right here for a few minutes. We'll come back to it and we'll finish it this shortly right here. Now, I want to skip to number 2. So I got to leave number 1 right here. So I won't put anything up here with number 1, not anymore, not yet. I've got several more steps to put up here, but not right yet. The repeating structure found in skeletal muscle is called a sarcomere. Draw and label the sarcomere, but let's define it first. It is the repeating structure found in all skeletal muscles. The repeating structure found in all skeletal muscles that we have right here. Now, for me to show you what a sarcomere is, I got to tell you where the darn thing is. Okay, it's going to be microscopic, so hang in here with me. Hang in here with me. I've got an objective right here about 2 connections of a skeletal muscle. I want to touch down on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jump all the way down to number 6 right here. Now I want to come back to number 2. I'll leave number 2 up here, leave the number up here. So that reminds me to come back to number 2. But for me to tell you what a sarcomere is, I've got to show you where the darn thing is, okay? So let's jump down to number 6. I know it's kind of disorganized, but what the hell, that's the way things are right now. Hang in there with me. Let me jump down to number 6. I'm going to put down sarcomere up here to remind me to come back to sarcomere. Right now, a skeletal muscle. And that's a skeletal muscle. The lines in between here are the skeletal muscle cells themselves. These are the muscle cells or muscle filaments. Muscle cells, muscle cell, muscle cell, muscle cell, muscle cell, muscle cell. Now, not all of them are organized like this. Like a bicep or triceps, they have a round structure in the middle called a belly. And I like that complicated term, muscle belly. Some muscles are flat, like the trapezius is a flat muscle. Latissimus dorsi is a very flat muscle, but not all of them look like this right here. But they all have two attachment sites. One is called the origin, one is called the insertion. So number 6, lists the 2 connections of a skeletal muscle, origin and insertion, O-R-I-G-I-N, O-R-I-G-I-N. I don't care which end you put the origin on it. And insertion. I-N-S-E-R-T-I-O-N. Origin and insertion. The difference between them, the origin is more movable. It's a degree of motion that it has. It's the only difference between the darn things right here. The origin has more motion. That's the difference between them. So the answer to number 6 is origin and insertion. The difference between them is the origin has more motion. So I'm going to scratch off for number 6. Number 6. But I want to take a look at part of number 6 here just for a few seconds. In number 6 right here, I want to take a look at one of these muscle cells themselves. Muscle cells are muscle filaments. I don't care about the origin, I don't care about the insertion. I want to take a look at one of these filaments right here. Now, this muscle cell right here has 1,000 nuclei. There's a fusion of something called a myoblast. I don't care if you know this or not. When a muscle cell forms, there's a lot of cells that fuse, and this sucker is multinucleated. So the muscle cell itself is going to be made up of sarcomeres. So I want to take a look at this right here, this one single muscle cell right here. Some of them are short. The ones toward the edge of the bulb are longer, are shorter than the ones in the middle of it. It's just the way that makes sense. Okay, so this sucker right here, blown up right here, has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of filaments in it. A muscle cell has a lot of filaments in it. Don't worry about that, not yet right here. The muscle cell is called a myofibril. The muscle cell has myofilaments in it. Now these are microscopic. A myofilament is where the sarcomere is going to be, all right? A myofilament is where the sarcomere is. So I'm going to take one of these muscle cells right here, split it up, take a look at one of these muscle filaments right here, and that's what I'm going to do with number 2. I'm going to go ahead and draw and label a sarcomere. A sarcomere is found in one of the muscle cell filaments, okay? The microfilaments that make up the muscle cell itself. I don't even need that in your answer, but I needed for you to know where that I'm going with this right here. So I'm going to get rid of number 6. Get rid of this right here. Get rid of this right here. Get rid of this right here. I'm going to take a look at a sarcomere. Okay. Now, if you can't draw this thing and show me the drawing, at least tell me what it's made up of. Fair enough. I know some of you use this study guide right here and you write it out and and I get that back as an answer. I'm happy. Some of you do a little more fancy stuff. I'm happy with it. But I got to have something from you on this, okay? A sarcomere. This structure from here to here is a sarcomere. So from here to here is a sarcomere. That is a sarcomere. Now, I have parallel lines, longitudinal lines. I have vertical lines right here. The vertical lines are called Z lines. Z lines. Z line. Zutagon or something like that, some German word. Zutagon. Yeah, I don't even know for that. Z lines. So sarcomere runs from Z line to Z line. And there are thousands of these in a single muscle cell. There are thousands of muscle cells in a muscle itself. Okay, so this is my Z line. Now, there are a lot of proteins involved in muscle cell contraction. Two of the larger proteins are called actin and myosin. I want to show you where actin and myosin is. I got thick filaments and I got thin filaments right here, okay? So these are going to be my thin filaments. These are my thin filaments. These are my thin filaments right here. Here's my thin filaments over here, right here. They're attached to the Z line itself. My thick filaments is going to be called, I'll go ahead and label this. These are actin, A-C-T-I-N, A-C-T-I-N, actin. And a myosin right here is a very thick filament that's in here. M-Y-O-S-I-N. Actin and myosin. That's interesting. When these suckers contract, these filaments slide on each other. And the Z lines get closer together when the muscle cell contracts. That can only get as short as the length of the myosin molecule, because the myosin molecule cannot go past the Z line right here. There's a limit to the muscle cell contraction, and it is the length of the myosin molecule.